What is going on, Life Fitness Coaches? Welcome to another episode of the Change Lives Make Money Online Trainer podcast. And guys, today Cole and I are doing a podcast together, and we haven't done one in probably 66 years. It's been a long time.
The last time I did a podcast with you, I was sniffing Percocets off of a beam.
Okay.
I'm just joking.
That was like 3 months ago.
That was our past. But yeah, it was around fucking probably like a year ago, it feels like.
I think it's because I basically, last time I did prep, I fucking cut out everything.
Mm-hmm.
I cut out my podcast with you first. And I still kept my podcast with Kirsten because I was trying to fucking keep our relationship sane.
Yeah.
But then after like fucking 4 weeks of doing a podcast with Kirsten, I looked at her, I was like, I ain't doing a podcast either. She was pissed. She was legit pissed.
Yeah.
But here we are a year later.
And now we're back and we're here to talk about some dope subjects. But before we break that down, because I made that fucking sniffing Coke off the beam or Percocets off the beam joke, I actually texted my old boss because I was curious. And I have the exact start and end date to when I was a fucking iron worker and a bunch of different fucking stories lined up that we're going to start doing content on.
Oh, cool.
It's like trippy, dude. Like actually breaking it down and like when I started, when I quit, like the details on it and all of it now.
Cool. I like that.
Cool.
So guys, today's topic is what does it take to be the very best? Because in the last 6 years, Cole and I have climbed to the top of the business coaching ranks in terms of our industry, and we are by far the industry leaders. And at first we were just saying it, but now it's obvious and everyone knows it. So I want to kind of just start this conversation, and I wanted to do it organically to see what comes to your mind. Like when you think about being the very best, like what do you think it takes?
Every fiber of your being. I feel like it takes a relentless, gritty, overwhelming amount of work that no one else is willing to put in. There was a quote that I heard this morning when I was listening to Success Motivation, because if you guys didn't know, Brian and myself always listen to Success Motivation. And one of the quotes were, luck isn't a thing unless you never give up. And then luck always plays a role in the success that you want to see. And I feel like that is a very true statement. Like to be the best in any field or to be the best in any area of your life, it might not even be business related. You need to put an unwavering amount of work in, and you need to be like relentless in your pursuit, regardless of what comes your way.
Yeah. So I think that work ethic is absolutely fucking imperative. I agree with that statement, because even when I first started the Change Lives Make Money Online Trainer podcast, before I'd even it was my first episode, I said, this is the #1 show for online fitness coaches before I even started. And when I said that, there was already a guy in the space. His name was Sterling, and he had 235 episodes. So before I even got into the game, I decided that I was going to outwork everyone. And so I decided that the way that I was going to separate myself from the pack, the way that I was going to become the best, was to outwork them. So I saw that he was doing 1 episode a week, and I was like, I'm going to do 5. And it's that relentless work ethic. And I think that work ethic is one of those things that is an absolute non-negotiable with anything in life. It doesn't matter what you want to get good at. Even if you're a fucking painter, if you don't sit down and paint for hours upon hours upon hours every single day, you're just not going to get better than other people that are also practicing the craft. And if you don't get better than other people practicing the craft, you'll never be the fucking best.
100%. And it's the same in every single realm. We were talking about this on pod chats yesterday with one of our clients. They're consistently getting on calls and they're not selling people, and they're fucking struggling with objections, and they're not breaking through, and they're not making the money that they want to make. So we started doing these series of elimination. What are you doing here? What are you not doing? What do we need to change? What do we need to break down? Like we always do with our clients. And we came to the conclusion that the individual just isn't putting the reps in. I'm not going to share her name. You guys can go listen to the podcast. You might figure it out, but they're just not putting the reps in. And what I mean by that is the only time they are ever practicing sales in order to build their business is when they're on a sales call. And they're not great at the DMs. Their content is not popping. So they're getting on 3 to 4 sales calls a month. How the fuck do you expect to be the best? How do you expect to be great? If we look at any great in any sport or any field, they are putting the reps in when no one is around. When Elon was building Tesla, he was sleeping in the factory every day for a couple hours. When you look at Kobe, he was at the basketball court practicing 3.5 hours straight before the games even started.
I need to tell you something funny. In case of speaking of Kobe, because I think that work ethic is #1. I think that is an absolute non-negotiable. So write that shit down, burn it in your fucking brain. You need to have work ethic, because I agree. I want to jump in on the Kobe story because I was talking to Chris this morning. Me and Kirsten got into a little bit of a fucking scrap the other day. Not a serious one, but a joking one. Because
fisticuff.
Yeah, fisticuffs. Yeah, never mind. We're not even that's not a fun joke. That's not a fun joke. But we were talking, and she was like, we were talking about our viral videos, and most of the videos that Kirsten and I do go viral. And she was like, oh, that was my idea. That was my idea. You're fucking welcome. And so I jokingly said, you're welcome for giving you all my clout because I'm growing by 500 to 1,000 followers a day. And she was like, almost like blacked out. She's like, fuck you. Not actually, but we got into a little bit of a spat. Daniel watched the whole thing. It was hilarious. It got heated really fast.
Anyway,
Anyway,
you recorded, Daniel?
Yeah, she did. So this morning, the conversation came up again because if you ever get into a fight with your wife, you're going to hear about it.
It never ends.
100%. You're going to hear about it the next day. Like for me, this fight was like long gone. I had moved on with my life. And of course, the next morning I hear about it. So this morning she goes, the other day, that's how it always starts. I've been thinking the other day when you said that you're going by this many followers, I just got to let you know that it's not a competition. She's like, I know that we're both trying to grow together, but it's not a competition. I view you as a team member. And I was like, I view you as a team member too, but I'm still going to beat you. I was like, I love you to death. But I'm like, Kobe wasn't apologetic for his work ethic. He wasn't like, Kobe didn't try to tame his competitive nature so that he didn't offend the people that were on his team.
Yeah.
Like Kobe showed up first, left last. There was a story that's famous where Kobe was on the USA All-Stars and they were traveling to a different country. And, the whole team, took a plane ride across the country. And then when they got there, the first thing that Kobe did was go to the gym.
Yeah.
And then the other players went to sleep. And the other players were like, oh, it's okay. We'll get to the gym the next morning. The next morning, the players wake up and Kobe's already in the fucking gym.
Yeah.
Like before they wake up. And one of the players sat Kobe down and was like, what are you doing, bro? Like, you're making us all look bad. He's like, he's like, your work ethic has nothing to do with me, homie. He's like, I'm going to show up and I'm going to put in the work.
Yeah.
He's like, and it's like that level of not only work ethic, but I think that if you want to be the very best, you have to be fucking competitive.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, you have to want to beat people.
Yeah.
Like I want to beat you. I want to beat Gary Vee. I want to beat Alex Hormozi. I want to beat Ed Milet. I want to beat Andy Frisella. I want to beat them all. And like you have to have that in order to become the very best in your industry. It's necessary. So work ethic, and you have to be fucking competitive.
It's also understanding that like we're talking about the best in your industry, the best in your field, the best at your craft, the best in your business, whatever. But it's also the best version of you. Like you should be competing with the individual you were yesterday. Number one. Number two, you should be competing with the future you that you would like to become. Because how are you supposed to become the millionaire, become the shredded person, become the famous person when today you're acting like the mediocre person you used to be? It is that simple, right? A lot of people get offended and they get thrown off when there's like a little bit of competitive nature. It literally does not faze me. Daniel can attest to this. I don't know what anybody's doing. I don't know how everybody is growing. I don't know the scale that they're growing at. All I know is that when I show up and I start speaking, people fucking listen, and I have a powerful voice and it will be shared. And people can pay attention all they want, but I'm like, homie, I'm competing at a higher level. I'm worried about like big dog shit. And the only people that I am focused on are the people that are making massive fucking moves in every action because I want to be the best. And it's not just for the sake of stamping best on the chest and walking forward, being like, yay, yay, rah, rah, I did it. It's about living up to the potential that I know I can have because I've set a vision for myself in the past.
Dude, and I love that. And I love that you're like, it's very focused internally on self. You're like, I'm going to be the best version of me. And I want to talk about that and also comparison because we're talking about, competition. We're talking about being the very best. And now I want to talk about comparison because so many people are afraid of comparison. And a lot of people feel insecure when they compare themselves to others. And because they feel insecure comparing themselves to others, or they feel insecure with the idea of quote unquote being the best because they don't want to compete against somebody like Don Lamb, who is the best. It's like that level of insecurity causes them to never compare themselves. And they're just looking at their own journey. And I think that is actually a disservice to your potential. Because one of the things that you said is I set a vision for myself and I know what my potential is and I'm going where I'm going. But it's like, how do we get inspired to set that big of a vision for ourselves?
By understanding that comparison is a beautiful thing and it needs to be embraced.
By seeing somebody that's at that fucking level.
Exactly. Something that you guys will hear Brian and myself say, if you ever have the chance to be around us or you actually listen to us on social media, is that if we see somebody else doing it, we know it's possible for yourself.
100%.
I'm never intimidated 100%. By the growth of somebody else. 100%. I'm just not. Like, 100%. Don't get me wrong. I am a human being. All right, I am. So is Brian. So when we see somebody doing something great, there might be a fucking sliver where we're like, what the fuck, man? And there's that like, can I do that thought? That's a normal human thought. But mine instantaneously transitioned into, well, if they did it, I can. And I know you do as well.
100%.
You might have that shadow where you're like, holy fuck, that's intimidating, dude. That's big. But then right away, I'm like, but they're also a human. I saw a funny video yesterday and it actually made me laugh. I'll share it with you, where someone said the next time you see a multimillionaire crushing it, bounds before you are, like absolutely dominating the market and killing it, understand that they also sit on the toilet and take a shit just like you. It's like true, that. Dog. That's it's like you guys look up to these shredded monsters and these billionaires and these supercars and these houses and these jets. Homie, they sit on the toilet and take a shit scrolling on TikTok just like you do. They're a human being. Yeah. So if they've been able to figure it out, you can. The problem with comparison that I feel like a lot of people struggle with is that they look at that individual success and they don't understand the backstory or timeline. So they compare themselves in a negative light, being like, why don't I have that right now? Yeah. It took us 10 years, bro. Dude, I think it actually took me 10 years. You were doing it for a year and a half before me.
But so, yes, but I also think that, yes, it took me 11 years. So it took me 11 and a half years. And like, I don't think I started getting my flowers until like 6 or 7 years in. Like people didn't start recognizing what we were doing until 6 or 7 years in.
100%. And the pop didn't happen until probably a year and a half ago.
100%.
Yes.
And that's the thing is like, I think to be the very best, you got to be fucking delusional.
Yeah.
And so we knew in our hearts, and like we would tell each other, like, we're going to be rich, we're going to be successful, we're going to have supercars, we're going to have it all. We're fucking coming for everything. So we knew we were delusional enough to believe in our own self, but like we didn't get our flowers until like for me, I didn't get my flowers till like I feel like this year, last year. That's when shit started popping. And until then, it was just like we were doing good, but it's like we weren't getting our flowers. But now it's like, okay, people see it. And that just takes so much fucking time, dude. And it just takes so much fucking time.
And it's something that no one ever wants to understand and no one ever wants to embrace. And it's incredibly hard to embrace because waking up every single day and doing the work that's in front of you and not seeing results can be incredibly damaging to your fucking ego. All right. It can be incredibly overwhelming. Guys, I'm a big quote person. I don't like books, but I love videos and everything else. And I always see these things about time. And it's about waking up and doing the work. Because when it comes down to transforming your life, right? Actually transforming your physical, your mental, your financial, everything about you, understand that you're going to do it for probably a year. And every day you wake up and you grind as hard as you possibly can, the next day, there's going to be nothing that's different. You're just going to have to do it again.
Yep.
And again.
Yep.
And again. Yep. And again. And again. And then one day you're going to be like, oh shit, this thing's moving. And that's why I feel like luck does play a role. It does to a certain degree, but luck only favors the gritty. Luck only favors the persistent. Luck only favors the hardworking. It doesn't favor the bitch ass sitting on the couch, not doing the fucking work that they need to do.
Dude, so I'm going to take that one more step. And I want to say luck only favors the ready.
It's that fucking true,
luck
man.
Only favors the ready.
Right.
And so like when, like those of you guys that saw me speak on stage last year, when I got the fucking opportunity to introduce one of my idols, Gary Vaynerchuk, like the reason that I got that opportunity to speak in front of 7,500 people in front of a massive stadium and introduce my idol on stage is because I was ready.
Yeah.
Like I had done 1,000 podcast episodes. I've gone live 1,000 times. And I had done 5 events because I kept putting myself in the arena. So when I luckily came across that opportunity, because it was luck, I went to speak at FitCon Utah. I met Keaton and I like built a relationship with him. He told me about Limitless and I was like, holy fuck, I could MC. That is 100% luck, but I was fucking ready.
Yeah.
And so luck favors the ready.
It's that true, dude. And also, let's take it a layer deeper. You haven't done 1,000 lives. You've done 3,000 lives because Brian and myself also did 3 live streams a week in 2 different levels of our community for 2 years straight. Do the fucking math, guys. The reps have been put in. The work has been put in. It's not like you're just going to get handed the lottery ticket in front of you. And this is the funny thing about the lottery ticket, the lottery in general. I talked about this on Podchats yesterday as well. All right. If the lottery was free, would you play it?
No.
Why?
It's not fun. There's no risk.
No. See, I would play it. Why would you not fucking just get a ticket for $100 million for no reason? I would every single day. And that's what social media is. If the lottery was free, you didn't have to pay any money, but you got a chance at $100 million pot. Would you play it? I would. I'd go into the gas station every day and get 20 tickets because why the fuck not? There's no risk to me. And I might get a huge payoff. That is social media for all of you.
So
all you have to do is post on social media and you might have one video that goes turbo viral and gives you everything that you have ever wanted in 1 second.
It's so funny. That's so funny Because it's so funny how our perspectives were different, because I honestly wouldn't. And then you said why? And I said, because there's no risk. And then I thought to myself, like, I think so. I love that perspective. And I think that is why most people don't play.
Yeah.
Is because there's no risk of losing and there's no risk of winning if they just don't play.
Yeah.
They're like, they could just pretend that the lottery doesn't exist. And so like, that's why I wouldn't play. But if, you know, I just invested $10,000 somewhere, or I invested $10,000 in like, and I lost that money and I needed to make that money, I would fucking play the lottery because there's risk associated. If I don't win the lottery, I'm kind of fucked.
Yeah.
And so like, I think that to be the very best, you need to put yourself in situations where you are forced,
agreed,
because you are at risk to grow.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't do that. They don't put themselves in the arena. They don't try out for the team. They don't approach the fucking girl. They don't go after what they fucking want because there's no risk. There's no risk if they go and there's no risk if they don't. They just stay in the same fucking place. But I think if you want a chance of greatness, like I would think if you want a chance at like the next fucking level, I think if you want a chance to like want to play the lottery every day, in my perspective, I'm like, you got to take a risk.
100%. Bringing it back to me telling you about the dates of when I started and quit ironworking. We now have the exact date I quit, which was April 17th, 2017. And if we actually put that in perspective, Julia was like, what the fuck? I thought you quit way earlier than that. And I'm like, no, because you got to think about it this way. November 5th, 2016 is when I won my first show. Then Brian put me through the ringer, made me prep for another 6.5 months straight before I was able to get brought on the team. Then I quit my ironworking job, all right, which was April 17th, 2017. Went up north for 3 months, quit that job because I hated it, started online, had absolutely nothing to my name, took the biggest risk of my life. 3 months later, made $10,000 a month and never looked back.
That's crazy.
And I'm like, the timeline is now there. It's 100%. And I can literally show you guys the steps. With risk, there is reward. Without putting yourself on the edge of the plank and just going all in, you will never get to where you want to be.
But why do people not risk?
It's fucking scary.
It's fucking scary. Why do people not risk though? The reason people don't risk is they're afraid of failing. They're like, what if I take a chance and I fail? What if I try to be the best and I'm not? What if I speak my mind on social media and no one listens? All of those things are going to happen.
They are.
All of them are going to happen. They're inevitable. They're not only unavoidable, they are a part of the process. But so many people don't take risks because they're like, what if this happens? And what if this happens? And what if this happens? All of those things are going to happen.
Also, let's just paint a different perspective and look at it a different way. You're already a failure. A lot of you guys are so afraid of failing, you never take one step towards the goals you want to achieve. However, you're already a failure because you have the dream life you wanted in the back of your mind and you never took any steps towards achieving it. So every time you go to the job that you hate, instead of going to the job that you love, understand that you are embracing being a failure instead of embracing the potential you have.
That's a fucking smack in the mouth.
That's the truth.
No, I agree. No, I agree.
That's what I was doing.
I agree.
I knew I didn't want to be an iron worker. I knew I didn't want to do that shit. You knew you didn't want to be a bartender. We knew we didn't want to be these things, but we just settled for less because that was the easy path.
I agree. And so risk, right? Let's go back to risk for a second because I like that perspective. So you need to be able to step into the unknown, risking the fact that you're going to fail, knowing that at some point you're going to fail. There might be 1 month where you can't pay your rent. There might be 50 to 100 to 300 posts on social media that you need to make before somebody even recognizes your name. Those are all a part of the process, and you must go through them because in order to get to the other side, you have to go through you have to take the bumps and the bruises and the lessons that you're learning along the way, and you have to move forward with trust and faith that everything is working out for you, which I think is another key element in building yourself to become the very best in your industry. Is like, you got to have trust, and you got to have trust in self. You got to have trust in mentors. You got to have trust in the universe or God or whatever your belief is around consciousness. You have to have trust. And I think for us, it's like, I don't want to speak for you personally, but for me, like, I always knew that I was going to be the best. Like, I always knew. And like, I had that deep sense of trust. And I think, I don't want to speak for you, but when you were entering your fitness competitions, after you won the first show, I'm like, I'm pretty sure you fucking just knew.
I knew before the first show. I literally went backstage knowing that I was going to bury everybody. And not because I thought I was better than anybody, not because I looked at everybody and was like, I'm more shredded, I'm bigger, I got more charisma. It was just this feeling. And this is something that me and you've spoke about in the past. And it's like, if you reverted me all the way back to ironworking days, older job days, growing up days, I never knew that I was going to be this person, but I always wanted to be.
Mm.
I had this deep, hard desire to be more than what I was.
Mm.
I wanted to be the person stepping out of the limos and having people recognize me. I wanted to be the person who had the money for my family. I wanted to be the person who had built the foundational legacy for the DaSilva family. I just didn't know how it was going to happen. So I settled for a life because I was like, I don't know how to get there, but I knew I was going to be better than I was at the time. And if you looked at every job that I had, every opportunity that I took, everything that I went into, I was the best. Right.
Mhm.
Playing football, fucking paintball, dancing, fucking any sport, video games, the job I did, I've always been the top of my field because I just understand that it's an embodiment of trust in self to do everything that you possibly can. So when it came down to the first show, there was no doubt in my mind at all.
Mm.
I was like, I'm going to go out there and do my fucking thing. And I know I'm going to win.
Mm.
And the second one just embodied it. And then it was like the third one just embodied it. Like I just had this voice in the back of my mind that was like, oh, you got this.
You know what's crazy about that? As I'm thinking back, so like you said that when you were a kid, you always won and you always got what you wanted.
Yeah.
And so I want to talk about where that led. But for me, I was the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
I never got what I wanted. I was always the fat kid in school. I was always getting bullied. I was always moving to house. My family never had the fucking money to afford things. Like I was always picked last in sports. And when I was on people's teams, they're like, why the fuck did we pick this kid? Like that was me. And I, at a young age, like because I didn't know how to win, I just got sick and fucking tired of losing.
Mm-hmm.
I was just so sick and tired of losing. I was so sick and tired of being overlooked, of being, moved past, of being, oversought, and people just didn't even recognize me. So that created in me the same thing that it created in you, because you said that you always knew that you wanted something.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, I always wanted this, but I didn't know how I was going to get there, but I wanted it. And for me, I was like, I'm so fucking sick of being a loser. I'm so done with this, which created this desire.
100%. And
Desire.
I'm going to correct one thing you said because it's important. I didn't always get what I wanted. We had the same past in the aspect of I didn't get the shit that I wanted. We moved fucking 9 times. But because of all of that shit, whenever I had the opportunity to be the person standing on my own 2 feet, I did what I needed to do. And I got what I wanted, which was the desired result. I.e., when I played sports, I was the big dog. All right. I got the athlete of the year when I was in elementary school. I pushed harder than every fucking student in high school and fucking got the shit that I needed to get. Even though I skipped school consistently in high school and I fucking hated it and I didn't want to be there and I was looked at one of the dumb students, passed all my classes like a 90 just because I aced the fucking exams consistently. Because I would allow people to have a perception of me and pass a perception, and then I would come and destroy it out of the water because I knew I was meant for something bigger. I knew that wasn't the person I wanted to be. I didn't like the past. I didn't like the house we lived in. I didn't like the opportunities that passed me by because we didn't have the resources and I wasn't quote unquote ready at the time. So it was just, again, having this burning desire lit in my heart to be what I wanted to be. The visualization of the famous, rich, whatever the fuck I had when I was a kid. I was like, that's who I'm meant to be. This is where I am now. So every chance I get to win, I'm going to.
It's so funny.
If I get put on the football field, I'm going to knock you the fuck out. If I get put in this video game where we're playing for competition, I'm going to win. If I do this, I'm going to win. If I do this, I'm going to win. You'll never beat me.
For me, it was the complete opposite. It was like, I was so fucking sick of being a loser, and I was so fucking sick of losing, and I was so fucking sick of not being picked that I just I wanted to win so fucking bad. Like around like 16, 17, 18, that's where I'm like, I want to fucking win.
Hell yeah.
And I want to be better than everyone. But it came from feeling like a fucking loser. And it came from being sick of being a fucking loser.
Sick of where the fuck you're at and not taking the bullshit anymore.
I feel like you just flipped that switch earlier.
I did. Yeah. I'm like, it's weird to say too, because I was also fucking addicted to drugs until I was like fucking 21. So again, that was like that. I feel like was the holdback for me.
Oh, let's get into that. That's fucking funny because let's talk about vices.
Yeah, and it was like I truly believe that in order to become the best version of yourself, you should have 0 vices on your life. Period. And I'm bullish with it, and that means no drinking, no drugs, nothing that holds you back from the potential that you could have. Because again, growing up, we didn't have shit. Me and my family were at each other's throats. I left my house to couch surf at 14 years old. I didn't get handouts. So every time I got a first place or a trophy or an award for being the top dog, I did that shit because I flipped the fucking switch. And then drinking was a problem in my life since I was a very, very young kid. I smoked weed for the first time when I was 9, bro. And I drank and got drunk for the first time at 11. I was rolling at Hell's Angels houses, smoking weed and listening to Eminem, and I didn't even realize it was a Hell's Angels house until my parents told me. I just remember being in this house smoking weed, and they're like, yeah, cool, you're fucking 9 years old and we couldn't get you out of the house. Like, I didn't have fucking handouts. I made myself something. But then slowly growing and slowly growing, the drugs got worse, the drinking got worse, and then I got addicted to perks. And I really feel like that was the cap on my ceiling. I did that.
Yeah.
I took the lid and put it on Cole DaSilva.
Dude, and you know, but it's pause. Why do we do that? Right? The reason we fucking do that is because we don't believe in self.
Yep.
We don't believe in our potential.
Yep.
We don't believe in where we could go.
Yep.
And so we
get complacent.
We smoke weed every single day to forget about the problems that we have. We drink every weekend so that we forget about the problems that we have. We forget about the fact that there's no money in our fucking bank account and that we're not in the place that we want to be. We fucking get fucked up on the weekend. We do cocaine like me. I was doing cocaine so that I could feel like a fucking rock star, so I could have that confidence, because I wasn't walking around day to day with that confidence because I had nothing to be fucking confident about.
Yes, dude.
But it's like, that's like the vices. And so like, if you want to get to the next level, it's like, you need to let go of the vices. And my definition of a vice is anything that you do that is harming your potential. Anything that you do that messes with your mental state and causes you to go off path. Anything that you do where you wake up the next day, you feel groggy, you feel shitty, you feel lethargic, you feel like you've wasted time. Like, that is a fucking vice.
I don't spend any time with that shit. All right. I didn't even tell you this. All right. And I'm going to try to figure out the date. But as of the year, end of this year, bro, beginning of 2025, that's 10 years, no drugs.
It's crazy.
Gone. Everything completely gone. This month, October 26th, 3 years, no alcohol.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Vices don't run my fucking life.
Yeah.
All right. I am in control. I do not take anything that alters my mind, because if anything alters my mind, I can't be the best me, husband, father, entrepreneur, friend, or motivator for the individuals around me. And then the only person I can blame for me not achieving my potential is the person I see in the mirror.
You know, it's funny. So I want to be transparent because I think it's important that we're fucking honest. I do microdose. I do take weed gummies. I do have a casual drink, but I'm not a victim to my vices.
Yes.
So it's like, I don't need to smoke weed every day to function. I don't need to drink alcohol when I go out to feel good. I don't need to microdose 7 days a week in order to feel good. But like, I'm not a victim to my vices. And so many people, I used to be, I used to be like, I can't function without this thing. I can't wake up and do my shit without this thing.
Yes.
But it's like, I still do it. And I think it's important to have that conversation, because I don't want you to listen to this podcast and say like, well, there's only one way to do it. And if I'm not doing it that way, I'm a failure. Like, I'm a big believer that personally, like, every time I've gone the all or nothing route, it hasn't served me. So I'm a big believer in balance and moderation. I think a lot of people take that to a little bit too far.
Way too fucking far.
Way too fucking far.
I'll be the person who says way too fucking far. Balance and moderation is exactly what Brian said. Balance and moderation.
Yeah.
All right. B will have a drink when he's relaxing and hanging out. He's not sitting here on a fucking podcast with a cup that looks like there's water and there's alcohol in it. That's a vice. All right. Like, he's allowing himself to express. He's not fucking drinking and fucking around doing dumb shit.
And there are places like that I get to, because like, I'm a fucking human. There's places that I get to where I'm like, oh, this has gone too far. And like, I've taken weed gummies 5 days a week. I need to throw them out. And that's like getting rid of the vices that are holding you back. And anytime that I sense or feel, and this, we can go into the next thing, that something is holding me back, not just vices, I let it go. And that could be friends, that could be family members, that could be places, that could be cities, that could be a house that I've lived in, that could be a car that I'm driving, that could be a homie that I used to hang out with. It's like, as soon as I realize that I'm trying to go somewhere and something is holding me back, I let it go.
Gone. Scissors come out and that fucking line gets cut right away, dude.
That's it.
I've even brought this up to Julia. Like, guys, I'm so detached about the shit that I currently have today based on the success that we have seen because of the past that I lived in. I'm like, if we reach a point where I want to move or I want to do something and I feel too tethered to a certain situation, I'll sell everything. The cars, the house, the surroundings, don't give a shit, because it's all to the vision. Me and B have talked about this. I'm loyal to the vision and the path that we are heading. I'm not loyal to the materialistic bullshit that we have around me. And I'm not loyal to people, all right, who want to use me as their catapult to the life they would like to create without giving back. All right. If people are not serving, helping you grow, pushing you, they should not be there. We're going to film a video today, which is all about tough love as a necessity in any relationship, especially friendship. Because if you're not willing to tell your friends the tough love, the real raw truth, you are not a friend. You are a frenemy. It's just not something that you should be surrounding yourself with. It's not something that you should be embracing. You need to learn how to let go of the things holding you back. If, again, you want to be the best in your field, regardless of what it is.
Yeah. And I think that, so this conversation leads me to the next point, I think. And like, I think that like you need to start being honest with yourself and being honest with yourself about what you want, what you're willing to tolerate, what you're willing to accept, and who's holding you back. And it starts with honesty in self, right?
Yes.
Like you have to like, I can't fucking remove somebody that's negative in my life if I'm fucking lying to myself. If I'm like, oh, it's good, they're good,
It's okay.
fine. I'm justifying for them. Right?
That was all right.
Yeah, it's all good. Like I'm just gonna justify somebody else's behavior because they're doing something that's holding me back. And so like, I think it starts with like, let's get really fucking honest with ourselves.
Yeah.
And let's get really honest with ourselves, and let's get really honest with the people that are around us. And I think one of the things that I used to think was that Cole's tough love. Cole's not tough love. He just tells it how it is. But I think that is honesty. So like, I'm going to start by being honest with myself and being like, okay, like this vice is holding me back. This thing's holding me back. This person's holding me back. This person's super negative. That's honesty with self. I think that's step one, is to have that awareness.
Agreed.
Then step two, I think, is to bring that awareness to the situation.
Yep.
Whatever situation it is. And so for us, I know that me and you have had some fucking super difficult conversations with our family.
Yeah.
It's like, this is no longer acceptable. I'm no longer willing to tolerate this. So you either modify your behavior while you're around me, or I'm not going to be around you.
It's literally that simple, guys. A lot of people know on social media, I just did a massive family trip to Portugal and Pico because I wanted to bring my 97-year-old grandmother back to Pico, which is our homeland, our 300-year-old home. Well, I also paid for my mom and dad's ticket to go. Now, if you guys have been following me at all over the last 9 years on social media, you know that I don't have a great relationship with my family. Now, pause. That doesn't mean that we didn't do good things for each other in the past and there wasn't good memories. There were. But there was also a lot of negative, right? There was a lot of intense verbal, mental, physical, to a certain degree, abuse when I was a kid between all of us as siblings and parents, to the degree where, again, I went and couch surfed at 14 because I couldn't be in my home with my parents without a fucking explosion happening. My little brothers were terrified of me being there because it was like if something was going to happen no matter what. And then I set boundaries and I worked on myself and I did the necessary healing possible to allow me to grow, set the necessary roadmaps. And I've been able to bring my family back into my life because at the end of the day, I did want them there. I got honest with self, did the work myself. Then I brought the same tough love, truth, rawness, whatever the fuck you want to call it, to the individuals around me and told them, these are the lines. If you're willing to walk in them, right? You can walk in them as the true version of yourself. But if you leave them, that's where we have a problem.
It's, dude, I think we just got to the root, because one of the things that you said is that you set boundaries and you were clearly communicating, and then you did the work on self. And then I think it just hit me. It's like, dude, to be the very best, I think you need to go look at yourself in the mirror and realize that you are the only thing stopping you from becoming the very best. It's fucking you. It's like, it's you actually like looking at yourself in the mirror and realizing that everything in your life, positive or negative, has been created by you. All of it, all of the heartbreak, the insecurity, the abuse when you were younger, that might not have been your fault because you didn't get to choose it. However, continuing to live through that pattern, repeat that pattern, get into relationships that maintain that pattern is your fault. So everything in your life that has happened up to this point is 100% you. It's always been you. It always will be you. There's no other explanation. And if all of us have human hearts, we have human minds, we have human hands, we have the ability to think, perceive, and like see our world, speak, communicate, love, hate, all of us have the same raw materials. Wouldn't it be realistic to say that if Elon Musk exists, that means that it's possible? If Alex Hormozi exists, that means that it's possible. If Gary Vee exists, that means that it's possible. And then, okay, if it's possible, going to look at ourselves in the mirror and being like, I'm going to fucking do it. Like, I'm going to be the very best.
It's disconnecting from the timeline and understanding one universal truth. And that is, if you try your best, you'll actually see success. And the truth of that, though, is that if you actually tried your best, nothing could stand between you and the goals that you want to achieve.
But you got to keep that energy.
And that's the thing. It's disconnecting from the timeline. Stop trying to see all the success that you want to see in a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. If it happens, great. Good job, homie. I'm proud of you.
But you still got to keep that energy.
But you still got to keep it up, and you still got to keep pushing forward. Stop worrying about when it's going to happen, and know that it will happen if you try your best. And it's not the statement. It's not just the statement. That's why I'm saying it so many times. Try your best is not where it starts. It's understanding if you actually tried your best, not the best you've been putting out already, your actual best. The best 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
The best.
Not 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, and then sit on the fucking couch.
Your very best.
Very best.
You're not looking at the clock. You're not counting the fucking reps. You're not asking how long it's going to take. You're not wondering how you can make it happen faster. You're just literally making the decision. Today, I will show up as my very best.
And that's it, dude. And it's, again, no timeline. I didn't know that this would be my life. I knew I would get to a life like that. I didn't have a timeline. Oh, by 2023, we're going to be driving every car that we wanted to drive and living in the houses and flying around the world. No, I just knew I wanted the fucking life. So what did I do? I never missed my wake up. I never missed my workout. I never missed my learning. I never missed the reps that I needed to put in. I showed up for my clients. I showed up for my fucking friends. I showed up for my business partners. I showed up for my fucking wife. I did what I needed to do. And I stopped worrying about when they saw success. And I started worrying about when I'm going to see success. That's it. A lot of you are not the best in your field because your perception on yourself is too grand because you're worried about other people. Focus internally, all right? And understand that you are either the roadblock or the bridge towards who you are now and where you want to be.
And the only fucking thing that you can do to get yourself from where you are right now to where you want to be is to commit to showing up at your very fucking best. Not for a day, not for a week, not for a month, not for a year, not for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, for the rest of your fucking life. It's every day waking up, looking at yourself in the mirror and making the decision, I'm going to show up as my very fucking best today.
Yep.
Period. And this is a good segue because, so first things first, who here enjoyed this conversation with Cole and I? If you did, drop some fire and let us know. Because Cole and I made a decision recently. And we decided that not only are we going to start coming together and do more content together, we decided to basically fucking bridge everything that we do.
Yep.
But we made a decision. And this is something that we've been talking about for probably the last 5 years.
Yeah, bro.
But also, we have PT Domination, and PT Domination is a full-time job. That being said, with the amount of leadership that Cole and I have integrated into the company and the amount of systems that we've installed in the company and the amount of people that we have helping us out with the company, we've created more space in our calendar.
And I'm super excited for it because it's not only giving us our life back, not only is it giving us the freedom to do what we wanted with our lives, not only is it giving us the freedom to impact the world and make a lot of money doing it, which was our dreams in the past, but it's given us the breathing room to turn on our brains and create something fucking new.
Something that we've wanted to for a long time, something that a lot of you guys have been asking about, something that anybody that's outside of the fitness niche asks me every single day. They're like, bro, do you have anything for me? Is there anything that you can do for me? I'm a real estate agent. I'm a mindset coach. I'm in sales. Can you help me? And up to this point, we said no.
So we're going to be creating a 12-week mastermind. We're actually going to come up with a name on it.
We don't have a name yet.
I'm not going to randomly express something crazy to you guys and solidify a name. But we're going to create a 12-week mastermind built to help you build a quote-unquote champion mindset.
That is the only fucking thing we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
I want to make that super clear. We're going to help you develop a bulletproof mindset. We're going to help you overcome your self-sabotage. We're going to break into your limiting beliefs. We're going to talk about your day-to-day habits. We're going to talk about the mindset that it takes to be a fucking winner. And who are we to be able to talk about this kind of stuff? Why should you take mindset coaching from these two? Because we're fucking doing it. We've got the house, we got the car, we got the body. We have everything we've ever fucking wanted.
Yeah.
And so like we are the most qualified to teach you if you don't have what you want. Like if you're not making the money that you want to make, if you don't have the physique that you want to have, if you don't have the business that you want to have, yes, there's some strategy involved, but none of that fucking shit matters if this up here is fucked.
Agreed.
Like if your mindset isn't on lock, if you're not tuned in, tapped in, turned on, if you don't have that fucking dog, man, it's all useless. It's irrelevant.
And that right there is what most individuals don't understand. You guys think it's a hack or a tactic or a tip or a trick that's going to get you to the millions and get you to the car and get you to the house and get you to the dream life. And I am telling you right now, you could not be further from the truth. Yes, you do need a basic foundation. And yes, you do need a strategy. This is what we've been able to do. But we've also seen hundreds of entrepreneurs, individuals in all niches, fall on their fucking face, fail, and go work a job that they hate, give up and live a mediocre life because their mindset wasn't in the right place, because they weren't willing to flip the switch, do their best, work on themselves every day, and become the bulletproof fucking wolf they were meant to be.
So if you're listening to this right now and on some level you feel called to reach out to Cole or I to have a conversation about this program, fucking do it. I want you to say you listen to the podcast, you heard what we had to say about mindset, and you're ready to take your mindset to the next level.
Yeah.
You're ready to become your very best. I want to make this very clear. There's not going to be any business tactics in here. There's not going to be any step-by-step strategy in here for your business. This is going to be teaching you how to develop the bulletproof mindset of a fucking champion so you can take that mindset into everything you do. I'm a champion when I step on stage as a fitness competitor because I have the mindset of a winner. I beat everyone. I'm a champion when I step in the arena of business. I beat fucking everyone. We're champions in every single thing that we do. Cole has become one of the most well-known voices on social media because he's the fucking best. And so if you want to learn how to become the fucking best and you want to tap into your unlimited potential, reach out and let us know that you listen to this and that you're ready to take action.
Speak up. It's time to embrace that dog and become the person you want to be.
Peace, love, protein. Have the best day of your motherfucking life. Hopefully this podcast was valuable. And Cole, where do they find you?
Wake Up with the Wolf podcast, Cole Lewis DaSilva on all social media platforms. Goodbye.
You guys can find me at The Real Brian Mark on Instagram, the Change Lives Make Money Online Training podcast, or you could also find me at Brian Mark on YouTube. My YouTube content's fucking lit.
Yeah.
Peace. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. Hopefully you got some value. If you did, and you want to learn more about how me and my team can help you scale your online fitness business to $10,000 a month, DM me 10K on Instagram at The Real Brian Mark for more information, and I'll reach out to you to see if I can help you grow an online coaching business.